Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome to the Monday workshop. As always, every Monday we come, we bring special guests, and in fact, it is not the guests. Now, today we have with us Sister Poonam. She is very near and dear to whole Brahmin family, and this episode especially to get to know our family better, right? So we have to live together for 5,000 years, 84 births together. So if we don't know each other now, how else can we know? She has a very powerful experience on this journey of Brahmin life. And she's one of my mentors, if I may call, because when I first came into Gyan, she's one of the sisters who is, once you come to the Brahmin family, you get a lot of love from whole family. And Sister Poonam is one who is always, we used to go out for hiking, and in Yosemite, we always stop by her house, take tons of food. So it's a family. So unless we get to know our family deeply, so then we are missing out something significant. So today's episode is mainly focused on to getting to know Sister Poonam. She has a very powerful experience before coming to Gyan. Also, she has a very, when Baba says that devotion leads to knowledge, and she has a very powerful practice, I may call, or deep love for God, or faith in God. And it's not just faith and love for God, but she follows through. She used to stick to that practice. And she comes from a Punjabi background, and she used to go to Gurudwara consistently. And then she at one, I mean, I don't want to spoil your so we will get to hear Sister Poonam right now. Thank you. Right, Poonam. So, Ben, welcome.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
So first of all, thank you, Harsha Pai and family, for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences in this journey. Beautiful journey of this birth, which has brought me where I am actually, I would say today. Each one of us, if we sit with ourselves, we can write a book of our experiences, isn't it? So today I'm being picked by your brother Harsha to share what is in my book. Up to now.
We've been trying to get you for weeks together now. At last we got you. Welcome.
So first of all, is the sound okay?
Yes, sound is good.
Okay. So if my sound goes a little down or low, so please stop me and remind me, which happened with me with my other sharing brothers and sisters. Then I get to know my sound goes pretty down. So before we start, as what the topic has been given to me about work, family, and spirituality. When I was thinking about it, in my mind, actually, it was the other way. The first is spirituality, then is family, and then comes work. And my mind started thinking about it, and went all the way from to my childhood, where my journey, actually real journey, when I started really experiencing different than usually that children or so before we start, we'll just take just a few moments of silence. And what we're going to do in this silence, just experience our own presence. You can take your attention within, or you can take a deep breath a few times. There are different techniques. And what this silence means is just to relax. Relax physically and relax in our mind. And we experience pure presence and peace. And with this awareness, we see ourselves in the presence of Supreme. The ocean of purity, the ocean of peace. And in the presence of Supreme, our beloved, we absorb His power, His purity, and His peace. Concentration for just a few minutes. Our presence in front of Supreme. Supreme. Shanti. So it's really an opportunity, and I guess everyone should do this when you've been asked to think about yourself, which normally doesn't happen with any one of us. We are thinking all the time about other people, isn't it? We are extroverted. We don't think about ourselves. But when we think about ourselves, we only think how others think about us, you know. But what I think about myself in my whole journey, it's such a great opportunity to sit with yourself and just rewind that whole film that I have acted out and the experiences that are, I would just say, are registered within the self, you know. So there are people, many people in the world, you hear it all the time, who search for God, who want to know about truth and what is our reality, what are we doing on this earth, what is the meaning of relationship. Is this is just a one stereotype? Is the setup of a mother and father and the children, and then children get married, and then they become a mother and father, and then they have a children. So this is what it goes on. You know, this is the one set of our relationship programming. But as a child, I was maybe 6 years old, or maybe 6 or 7 year old. I always had this question: what does this mean? There is everywhere, wherever you see, whomsoever you meet, it's just a mommy and daddy and children. And then children grow up, and then they become mommy and daddy and children, you know. So what are we doing here? As a little child, I used to think about it. Why is not something else then? What is the purpose? And where I started reading. I guess I was my grandfather who used to do the morning, every morning reading of Ramayana, and would do the some yagya. Yagya is the one with the where you have the little fire and you offer different grains, and every morning, and with the some oil or so. So he would do that, and I will sit with him. I never understood the meaning of all that, what it is, but I would see him doing this devotion. And then he would read Gita. And I never understood. But all I would do is chant with him and just participate as clapping, and at that age when I would just say my devotion started. But I had a lot of interest in devotion. And then my mom, she would also do the devotion of all different deities. Every Monday, she will keep a fast of Lord Shiva, and then on Tuesday is something special is for Hanuman, and then on Wednesday is for Saraswati, and on Thursday is for Sai Baba. So every day used to be something different devotion that my mother would do, and over the weekend is going to be Guru Divara. So I actually did not know that which religion that my parents really, follow. But my mom and dad, they used to just preach everyone and follow everyone, whatever the rituals have been. So one day, I guess in a couple of years, like I was 8 or 9 year old, don't remember exactly. My grandfather, he passed away, and he lived with us, since I was born. And when he passed away, in only those days, just 2 days before his passing away, he went to stay with his another son. And when we heard this news, and my mom told me that grandpa is gone, so we need to get ready and we have to go to, uncle's place. And the first thing arose in my mind that, oh my God, my grandpa is gone. Who's going to do all these rituals? Who's going to offer, read Ramayana? Who's going to read Gita? Who's going to do all these morning rituals? And so I told my mom right that moment. I was thinking about it, and I questioned my mom, and then I told my mom. From childhood, I guess I might have eaten non-veg sometime, and but that particular day, I took a vow. I took a vow that grandpa is gone. Someone has to carry on this daily rituals and prayers. So I would take that responsibility as a child, and I promise you, God. And I'm just talking in my mind, and I'm just folding hand, and I'm just saying, oh God, I promise you, from now on till I'm alive, I'm going to do your prayers every day, and I will never eat non-veg. And I would be very much following your path. So this happened at that age. And my search began. Questions from the childhood. What is the truth? What is the meaning of this relationship? And then where is God? Who is God? So I'm one of those who had been searching for God, not only in this birth, maybe in my previous births. And I started reading books on philosophy, life philosophy, started following all the rituals that my parents have been doing in devotion, and my grandpa, that what he left with, and I still have that Ramayana and Gita, that which were really my support in the beginning of this journey. And time passed, many years. My devotion started getting very intense as I was growing. Because I was 14, 15-year-old, and I wasn't finding my answers. I got more influenced and involved with Ramakrishna Paramahansa. So his philosophy, I kind of more like I was influenced, and I really followed that, is about the simplicity, having minimum to minimum with you to live a happy life. I was a teenager. Both the parents, they used to work, and I had two brothers. I still have two brothers. So, and the only daughter. So I was not allowed to come home after the school, and till my mom comes home and dad comes home. They were running a business of dry cleaning. So I used to go to the library of Ramakrishna Mission, which was very close to the house, hardly a few minutes away. So after the school, I would go to the library, I would do my homework, and then I would read the books about to know where is God, who is God, what is our truth, why are we here, what is our purpose. All these things, they used to bother me. So I started picking up, I started talking to the, at the mission, all the renunciate Swami who had really renounced their life, and they used to do their own rituals, meditation in the evening, and I will talk to them and ask their practices and all, and they would share what they do. So I thought, maybe that is the way. And then I will question, by doing all that, do you experience God? And the answer would be, one day it will happen. But this is what we do, we believe in. So I started doing that. But along with that, so from 3 o'clock till 7 to or 8 p.m., I would be in the library, and can imagine the information I had collected from different sources. And library will close sometime early, but I was allowed to sit in the library and study, and it was really a blessing. Then I was not happy still. I would read many books on spirituality, about Vivekananda, about Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and about, I would say, different philosopher of, one is my very favorite, Khalil Gibran. Many of you would be aware of his name. And Richard Bach. So there were so many, but can't recall right now. Everyone had been just telling me some method, some ways, do this, do that. And I was doing everything. And search was that every morning I would wake up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I did not know why, but I would wake up. I was very young, and I guess I started waking up 2 or 3 a.m. and always looking up there in the sky and just talking to God. Everyone says you are up there, but if you are up there, I have these questions. I want to meet you. I want to know you. I want to know who you are. But if you are there, then why don't we meet you? So every single night. And then I would do my practices of different pranayams and different from what Ramakrishna Paramahansa he used to do. My parents weren't very happy with me, is because I was really following the path of my food, eating minimum, talking minimum, and clothing minimum, not more than 4 dresses. One is needed. You do not need the 5th one. And Ramakrishna, he worshipped his wife as a deity. I followed that. I started worshipping all my parents, my siblings. I always started seeing a divine in them, because this is what he did. That's what I started doing, because I believe that this is the way, this is the path which leads me to my, finding my truth, meeting God. So lot of issues in the house that my parents thought, especially mom, that something not right with me. And in those days, I got an admission in the college as an architect, in architecture department, and that was my real interest, and architecture and interior designing, where so in the morning I would leave for my college, but all I would just chant the mantra, which was, in the practice. I won't talk or think anything else than the mantra. I am in the bus, I'm chanting that till I reach to the college. I'm just chanting my mantra. That had just become a kind of very set programming. And I finished my college, and then I got my job. But along with that, so what happened is, when I was in second year, actually in my very first year, my final result was declared, and there were 46 students in the very first year of my, of my architecture class, and out of 46, just 13 of us remained in the class at the end of the year. And I had so much interest, and I worked very hard, which I thought that, and I always used to just in my prayer would say to God that I know I cannot come first, because English was not my first language. And I finished my graduation in a Hindi medium school. And but in the college, we had students from both the backgrounds, English medium and Hindi medium. So, and I would tell God that I know that my English is not that great, but you would help me. And I'm going to work really, really hard, that, out of this 46, I want at least the 4th place. I know I cannot take, because there are so many English medium, students from that background, and I was very reserved and quiet, and coming from the background that no interest in the worldly things, and I would wear only plain clothes, 3 color only. My mom got so many dresses for me, fancy, but never happened. Only 4 pairs. One is at home, 4 pairs only, and those were only light colors. That was my my most of my life till I got married. So our result was declared, And instead of coming to the fourth position, I was fifth out of 46. My heart broke, very disheartened. And I went upstairs, up to the roof of a college, and I cried very loud and just looking up there to the God, says, why you did this to me? Didn't I work so hard? I wanted to, come to the fourth position and you brought me to the fifth. This is not fair. You did not do right with me. I'm coming to your temple right now. You have to answer me why you did this to me. Okay? This is all just by myself and then God up there, believing someone is up there. So got my result, and I went to the every day that the bus I would take for my home. I had to change two buses. One bus would reach to the temple. There was a Kali Ma temple. There is a goddess Kali, who is the black one with the tongue out. So that there was the bus stand, and from there I would take another bus to go to my house. So I reached around noon to the temple. I got down from the bus, and the temple was just right there. And I was very emotional, very hurt. I entered the temple, took my shoes off, and I was crying. And the priest came, and then he said, sorry, you cannot come and pray at this time. I said, why? I am in so much of trouble right now. I need to speak to God. And I told her that I'm coming. And why are you closing the, this door of a temple? Because temple is for everyone to pray. And when we are in difficulty, so we could come to the temple. And he says, no, 12 o'clock is the time of this goddesses to sleep, to take rest. And I said, where is she to rest? Show me, can I meet her for a minute? And is she behind this black statue? That is she behind sitting? Or what is that? Just explain me, And then he said, why don't you just go across the street? There is a Gurdwara. It is open 24 hours. They never close the door, but our system is to close the door 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Or you come after 4 o'clock. So I was very disappointed. And at that moment, I was so upset. And I said to Mother Kali, I said, sorry, this is my last visit to your temple. You are not the one. I'm never coming back to you. When I'm in trouble, I want to just, know my answer. And you are not available for me. So sorry, you are out of my list. And I'm never coming back. I'll go across the street to Gurudwara. And I said, Babaji is there. Babaji would listen to your story. He's open 24/7. They never close the door. Maybe was the right place for me. So I went to Gurudwara, and I stayed there for, I went there, I sat down in one corner, and I cried and expressed everything what was in my heart, that Babaji, why this, Babaji, why that, I worked very hard and whatever. And then after that, then I chanted there was one of the mantra of Japji Sahib, which is out of the Granth Sahib, that at Gurdwara they preach, and I knew all those mantras, so I started chanting those. And after chanting 108 times, and it always used to be 108 times, I would chant Om Namah Shivaya 108 times. I would chant Japji Sahib mantra 108 times, and I would do Durga Saptashati 108 times. And you asked me, there were so many things that I would do. It will take me at least more than 2 hours to finish my chanting every day. Then it will start from the square one again. Then all of a sudden, I felt really good, relaxed. And then I opened my eyes. I just felt that, there is some energy right there in the middle, in front of me, where the Guru Granth Sahib's, that big book, holy book, is there. And I'm looking at there, and it's just talking to me. Okay, I'm listening to you. I heard what you said. So we need to make some commitment. And all of a sudden I started saying, I'm committing it to you. Till my final of this graduation, till I finish and get my degree, I'm going to come to you every single day and give you my report. You help me out. I want to work hard. You show me the right path. I don't want you to just do the magic and, make my intellect very, bright and clear and sharp. No, you help me out and I will work hard. You take my first step where you find that I am your child and I will be benefited. And in my final examination, I want to get at least second position. And that the promise I made, I felt very happy by making this promise. And then I came back home. And see, in India at my age, I would say teenagers, 14, 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old girl, not usually allowed in those days, not usually were allowed to be out of the house late after after your college finishes, you come home or you go to library, but you just cannot be out. Parents never felt safer they were overprotective especially for the daughters, to come home after your college is over. But in my education, like in my this program of architecture, it was just not that you come home after the college is finished, that extra work was required to educate, to experience. And so I would come home, go to library, I would meditate but in my mind, I would talk to Babaji. I did not know who Babaji is. Definitely the image of Guru Nanak Dev always emerged, but at the same time, this word Babaji started in my journey at that age. So till I graduated, I never missed a day. Sometimes it is very late night, and I used to, after the college, I would go to some architect's office, and not sure how all this happened, but it's all him. God, I would say, literally would create this for me, for my, this growth, that in my education, that what I really wanted, get me connected to different architects. And then even when I was in college, second year, I already was, I would say, hired by a textile designer who visited from Australia. And that textile designer, I found out after I graduated, after work, and I worked with them. she came to my college, and she kind of picked my work and wanted to meet me, and then she hired me. And I had a very much difficulty in expressing. So very shy. I was very shy. So my head of the department, she had another girl who would accompany me to my job to talk on my behalf, because I would not be able to express. But I worked. I started working at that age, and those textile designer and graphic designers whom I worked at that age, after 15 years, I met them in Mount Abu, my very first bosses. And they were also following this path of meditation, RajYoga meditation. So that was amazing in my journey, how it began. So my second year passed, and the result was, final. The days came, and I came into second position. I was very, very happy. And then my trust in God started really, really growing more, that if you, really have faith and you do as you promised from your end, then God helps you. So much helps you. And every night I would have a class from up above there. And it's just something like I would see it on the sky in English and Hindi, both translation of Hindi to English. And I would just look at that and I would write it down. And then I started learning English. It's just looking up there. This is the first time I'm sharing this. It sounds kind of pretty odd. But this is how I feel that God was my instrument. Though I had not met him at that age, but everything appeared up there on the sky. And started writing letters to my uncles and aunts who were not living in the same state. And my first birth, I would say originally, that I was born in New Delhi, India. And this is how I started. I would say that God is the one who taught me English. And my final, happened, and of my college days were over, and my rituals were still going on, going to Gurudwara every day and talking to Babaji what happened. And then I would go home. I used to be scared. Mom is going to be upset. I'm very late. But I would do 108 times all this chanting, and nothing would happen. But the day I missed my chanting, Mom will scold me, and I could just experience the difference. Oh, so all this, God is watching me, God is listening me, and one day he has to come in front of me. So my finals happened, and the result was declared, and I got top place in the whole Delhi University. So that was all by God's grace. And then my trust in God just grew more and more. And then I told my mom, now after my college degree, then I said, now I want to become renunciate, and I want to move to the mission, where the girls are, like the women's are, because in Ramakrishna mission, they have a separate places for, one is for the brothers and separate mission, separate places for the women's. And I was really wanting to do that. So my mom said, no, you're pretty young. You have to get married. And this is done. This is over. This is too much what you are doing. And one day I was really, really just, college was over, and I was still working with the textile designers. And now I was hired full time. those my college days, I worked as a part-time. After my college finishes, then I would go and work there or work from home. Then I decided, I wrote a letter. I said, no, my parents were doing some kind of a puja in the house, and they invited all the relatives. And that time I was very uncomfortable with myself. What all they are doing, this is good. And chanting God's name is good. Fasting is good. And I would go even to Gurudwara with my mom, 40 days barefoot, is because mom would just not be happy that why am I doing it? I said, this is what it has been said in Granth Sahib. Many people, they do it. I want to find him. He needs to come in front of me. So then my mom thought I'm just kind of a little bit crazy. God is, you find God in doing all these devotions. This is what her belief was. Until today, she believed the same. One day, so after the Gurudwara, all those rituals, I have been doing it, and then I got married. That was kind of not my desire. I went to, before that, like what I was sharing, some kirtan was going on, prayers were going on in the house, and I decided I'm going to just run away from the house, and I will go to the mission, and I would ask them to just keep me here. And I guess I was 21-year-old. And so I wrote a letter, and I met all my relatives. And in my mind, I'm saying, you guys are seeing me in this dress first time, and next time you will see me in the monk dress, in the orange, all those wrap around, and I'm going to be gone. I want to follow that path. So met everyone happily and helped my parents very happily. But another side, tears were coming that like, oh, I'm going to be leaving my house. My parents will be upset. I know they won't see me from tomorrow because I'm going to the ashram. I have to live there. I belong to that place. And so next morning I did that. Just packed my only, 2 clothes, not the third one. And then I went to the ashram, and I went to the head of the ashram. They all knew me because I had been coming to them for many years and would do my practice of meditation and all that. So I said, I'm here and I do not want to go back. And then she said, you do have to go back. You cannot come here without your parents' consent. You have to bring, your parents are the one who have to bring you to our ashram. You just cannot be here without that. We cannot let you be here. So very disheartened, went back home and cried. And then I told my mom, I want to do that. Please drop me there. And they said, no, you need to get married. You're 21. And then they started telling all my aunts that, talk to me about it. And I'm not doing the right thing. So at this age of 22, I got married. But my condition was in my marriage that I would not stop going to Gurudwara till I'm alive. That's my promise to God. And I'm not going to bring anything with me except these 3 clothes. And so anyway, with all this condition, I was still accepted and then, got married. And never stopped going to Gurudwara even after the marriage, every night. Then 2 beautiful boys, they took birth and came into my life. And then what happened, I guess my youngest son was 6-year-old. My youngest son was 6 months old. And then we moved to America. But just before moving to America, we used to go to Gurudwara every day. And this ritual what I had, that I believed in, that this is what is the truth. By doing all this, I will find God. I had a major accident. So older son was just 4 months old. And after coming back from Gurudwara, this happened. Somebody hit with a car. And the body was very much injured. And for 6 months, body was kind of handicapped. And I was in a lot of pain that I will not be able to go to Gurudwara anymore for 6 months. For many years of this commitment of not missing going to the Gurudwara, now it will, I would just go, more away from God, that he's not going to consider me anymore, meeting me anymore, because I can't go to Gurudwara. So that was the experience. And but in those days of 6 months, I started experiencing my chanting. It increased, and when my older son was 4-year-old, we moved to America, and youngest son was 6 months old. And but that ritual had broken of going to Gurudwara every day. And I would do every morning 2 hours of prayer, trying to make everyone happy, every goddesses happy. And at the end of the prayer, crying loud, "Where are you? Why don't you meet me? Will you ever come? Will you ever see me? Will you just I want to know my truth. I want to know who you are. And how long more?" Every single morning, one word, this would come from my inner, the voice, "How long more?" And then what happened, one day, I get a phone call from one person. That person, I had met her at the temple, Hindu temple. And so I used to sing songs of goddesses at the temple. So I was known for that. There is one girl that, she sings a song, and because I was so much in devotion. So she took my phone number. And then she says, "I live very close to your house, and I would love to meet you come to your place one day." And I said, "Yes." So that person calls me after 1 year. And the day she called me, I was having temperature, and very high temperature, which happened the very first time when moving to America after maybe 4 years. And here she calls me 8 a.m. in the morning, and then she introduced herself, and she says, "You remember me?" And I remembered her vaguely, and I said, "Yes, yes." And she says, "You have been coming in my thoughts from last 1 week, though I'm calling you after 1 year, but would you be interested in learning meditation?" And I said, "Yes, I have been practicing meditation, in my childhood and in India, but since I moved to America, I haven't found any place." So she says, "Okay, tell me when can I come, and I'll take you to the meditation center." And I said, "Now." She says, "But you have a fever." I said, "Today is the only day I can come, because it's a great opportunity. Otherwise, I work 7 days. And my youngest son, who is a 5-year-old, he's gone to a preschool, and he will be just home in 3 hours. So I have this precious 3 hours. If you want to take me to the, a meditation center now." She says, "You really sure?" And I said, "Yes." So she says, "Okay, I'm coming. I'm just 15 minutes away and you get ready." I said, "No problem." I took Tylenol and I wrapped myself with the blanket so that I would sweat and all my fever would go away. And I was very excited that I would go to some meditation place. And so anyway, she comes and she took me to the meditation center. Sacramento Meditation Center. We were there for a very short period, hardly for a few minutes, I would just say. And so that sister who took me to that place, and then she got me introduced with the instrument, and then she said, "I'll be back in a few minutes. So you talk to the sister, she's going to tell you about the meditation." And then she says, "Poonam is very much interested." So that sister left, who brought me to the center. And then here, instrument sister, who is, I would say, Sister Hansa. Many of you know her. So she just asked me straightforward question. She said, "Do you know who you are?" So what is she asking? I just introduced myself, like other sister. Her name is Urmil. And I said to her, "Urmil Didi," I call her Didi because she's older to me. I said, "She just introduced me. I'm Poonam." And she says, I said, "Yeah, right now, sister was telling you I'm Poonam. And this is what I have done, degree in India, and I have moved here to US, and I have 2 boys." And so I'm just telling all my that identity, talking about that. And then she says, "What happens when someone dies? What happens? Person dies, the soul departs. That happened?" And she says, "Yeah." "Then do you know your father?" I said, "This question doesn't sound right, I was so confused at that moment. What is she asking me? I didn't want to just say, jump into the answer that, "Oh yes, this is my father's name, and he's this." I said, first she's asking me, who do I know myself? And then she's asking me, "Do you know who is that when person dies?" And now she's asking me about my father. And this all happened, I'm standing. She's sitting because I was there only for a few minutes. Then I had to go back home because I had very limited time. And I sat down on the floor and my eyes closed. And then the answer emerged with the tears. And what happened at that moment is the one light emerged just in front of me. And the answer emerged from within. Very beautiful answer that I had been searching for all my life, knowing who God is, where is He, and the answer emerged. Yes, I know my Father. It's a supreme soul, because I know now. I'm recognizing when the person dies, soul departs. And then you are asking, who is the Father? You're not asking the Father of this body, but the Father of the soul. So that means I am a soul. My Father, God Himself, is my Father. Just one word of ignorance, not understanding. We just simply say, "Oh, the soul has departed to the heavenly abode." We go to somebody's funeral, But at the same time, when we go to different, religious places, then we say, "Oh God, Supreme Father, Supreme Soul." And that's what my awakening happened. And my eyes were closed and I saw the light of kind of a self, and the light of God. And I was in tears when my awakening happened. So I found God. I was so excited, so happy. And I said, I found my truth. And I kept saying, Param Atma and I am Atma. I am a soul and you're a supreme soul. Oh my God. We always have been in relationship. You have been my father always. No wonder why you have been always helping me, watching me, listening me, and whatever I wanted, you've been doing that, for me. So then I asked the sister, okay, I'm here. What do I need to do next? I want to follow. I want to understand more. And from that day, my actually real spiritual journey, I would say, started. Before that was a search of truth, search of God. But this is what the day of recognizing myself, recognizing God. Then sister said, you have to come to the center and do the 7 days course. So that was very challenging with the little children and no time off, 7 days working. I managed to go to the center for 3 times, and I still didn't get a chance to learn the 7 days course. And then sister says, okay, why don't you just read this book of 7 days course, since you cannot come for the longer hours or so, but you need to sit here for at least for 1.5 hours or so. Then she gave me a book, and I brought that book back home, and I was very excited. I read that whole book. I guess within 3 days I finished the book. I did my RajYoga Meditation course by myself, and whatever the directions were given in the book, and I started following. So this is how the journey began. And whatever the directions were, I was very much, very intensively I followed in the practice. Waking up early in the morning was already in my programming, so that was not the new thing for me. I was just in 6 months, in this practice of Raj Yoga. I was ready to I was so excited, and I came to know that Supreme Soul, Godfather, he comes, he meets you, in India through our very senior instruments of in this organization. And I said, I have to go. I had been waiting it's time to meet. And he's calling me. And so anyway, I managed to go in 6 months to India. And so in the course of this RajYoga course, which many of you already have done it and practiced, that, we know that we are all eternal light. And our God, our Father is also a light. So I was thinking that how he's going to meet me, how he's going to talk to me, how we're going to have this meeting. And so the very first meeting, I was in the gathering, and so God came, that supreme light entered into the instrument, whom we call Dadiji and Dadi Gulsarji. And after he finished his sharing, and then it was announced that all the people, all the brothers and sisters who are visiting very first time, they will come on the stage and meet Baba, to God. We address Baba with a lot of love, and going to meet Baba on the stage, would go in the line. And you can imagine my excitement and curiosity. And I said, okay, I would be the first one. So I just got out from the gathering. There were like almost 5,000 brothers, sisters sitting in the gathering. And I went first, very first in the line. And I kept looking at Baba, and I kept talking to him. I've come to meet you. Finally, the day has come. The moment has come. I'm so excited. I'm thanking you. And I can't meet to have my eye connection, contact with you. But acknowledge me. I believe, I trust it's you. You have come. Please acknowledge me. Just, acknowledge me like that. And I was the first one. I went in front of him, kept looking at him. He's looking at me, but he did not acknowledge me. So you can imagine what would have been my state. I kept looking, at him, and I said, "Oh, I'm not sure now. He didn't acknowledge me." So the guy, that meeting was over. I went to my room. I did not eat dinner. And then I cried again. I says, "No, this is not true. He didn't acknowledge me. Looks like this is not the truth. I put so much of effort coming here, lying so many, people, and spend so much money. And I thought, this is God." So very next day, I went back home to Delhi, to New Delhi. And my parents were kind of very much saying, "You just went, a few days ago, and you said you're coming back in 3 weeks, but you're back." And I didn't talk much. I was sad. And I said, "Yeah, I'm back," and I would be very much upset with God and kept talking. I, in my meditation, because I learned already in those days the technique of RajYoga Meditation and all, I would just complain. You said you are there, you come, you meet, you are a light, and I'm practicing everything. I stop. I like completely as whatever the disciplines were, I followed. I made changes in my food, in my everything, in my relationships, living a pure life, and so I had so much expectations. So third day in the morning, I was doing my meditation, and I said, "I'm giving you one more chance. You make your decision, okay? If you're really there, if you really come to Mount Abu, you come into Dadi Gulzar's body, then you acknowledge me. I'm coming back. I'm coming back to meet you again," because we were allowed to meet twice in those days to Baba. So next day I said to my mom, "I'm going back. I have to go back." Anyway, somehow I managed to go back. And everyone was, very surprised. She left, and now she's back. And so when I was coming back, in order to go to Mount Abu, you take from the flight from New Delhi, you reach to Ahmedabad, and from Ahmedabad, we go either by a taxi or by bus to Mount Abu, our final destination. And I kept talking to Baba. "I'm coming back. I'm giving you another chance. I'm coming back," And so when I came to Ahmedabad, and bus was about to leave in a couple of hours, and they say that, "Sister Poonam, the whole bus is full, but one seat is available, and just see that if the person who's sitting there is okay." Because some sisters were needed a little extra space for some reasons. And so I went in the bus, and I checked with the sister, and that was Sister Jenna, who is the instrument in charge of Washington Center. And I went to her. She kind of really embraced me, and I said, "I'm a first timer." And I sat with her, and she started sharing the knowledge with me. She lot of things. So many people in those 4 hours of our 3.5 to 4 hours of our journey from Ahmedabad to Mount Abu, in the bus I met, it was all Baba's plan for my, preparation, and very amazing. So finally, I made it to Mount Abu, and Sister Jaina prepared me to meet many different instruments. Out of that, one is Surya Bhai, who is the one of the brother in Gyan Sarovar, and Shantivan, who is the main head over there, the kitchen department, and he also conducts many classes and meditation programs or so. So I met him first, and then he started my preparation of meeting God. How do you meet God? So that was really, really is very empowering, of really not as a just having this information that I'm a soul and supreme soul up there, and he comes and he meets you. But that was very childish, just getting one information, then you create expectation that you want to meet God. But to have a real experience meeting God, then he gave me different practices every day, and I followed that. And finally the day came, and again supreme light entered into the body, and that was and again it was announced after the sharing that all the first timers who have come very first time, they will just come in front of, and get the drishti, have eye contact with Baba. So I said, this time I'm not jumping, to the front. I'm going to wait, and I will go to the either middle or last. I want to see. I'll give him a full, this, say a chance that, okay, I'm coming, I'm here. I kept saying, okay, this is the chance. If you are God, if you are my Father, then just acknowledge me, and otherwise I would just not follow this path. Then I'll understand, okay, this is just another organization with some practice. So I was in the line, and everyone, when my turn came, I experienced just the 2 rays directly in my eyes. And that moment was the most beautiful moment of my life. And then Baba acknowledged me. I just kept saying. So this is how I met God, found God. Until today, I'm on his path and directions. Om Shanti. So if you have any questions.
So, Manaben, you want to have any?
Anji, yes.
So before that, Kapiben was asking which year was that when you met Baba?
It was 94.
94.
Poonam sister, very wonderful, very beautiful sharing, very touching, especially the last bit when you were sharing. So thank you for that personal journey. So I just had a couple of questions. Let's see if we can maybe just take one question. So when, as you said, that then from that point onwards, your spiritual journey started. And it seems that time your kids were very small. They must be toddlers at that time. And you were helping out in your business, in the family business as well. So as it is, it's very difficult to balance business and family. And now you have a spiritual journey also in the mix. So then how did you balance it out without feeling guilty about taking time out from one and giving it to your spiritual study? Because with work and family, we all know the more you give, the more they need. So then how did you try to take the time out for your own spiritual study?
See, in the beginning of my student life, I'm still a student. In the beginning, things were very clear to me after meeting Baba. And I guess when you have eye contact with Baba, then with his rays, quite a lot from your intellect, it gets so much extra power, extra clarity, and absolute, I would say, what you desire. Then he really fills you up with that. He really just, give you that experience. So the trust in God definitely, absolutely was there, and I would just say, the soul, I was awakened, and with this awakening, the one practice which I spent my intense effort is seeing everyone as a point of light, as a light within the body, and in the discourse. What I read, and is the daily godly version that we read. Beginning 5 years were the most, I would say, study happened is time was not the limit. Time was, could never, after doing all my responsibility and practice of meditation and seeing each one as a soul, that had been giving me extra strength and power of like totally free from the fear of, if I do not want to do certain things which is not aligning in the spiritual practice, I would say, with a lot of respect and humility, that from now on, I would not be able to do this because of this. And so it started with the family, not cooking non-veg anymore. Why? Because God says, the one who buys it, the one who cooks it, the one who eats it, they all get it's, whatever, I would say, after effect, what we call it is a karma. So I said, I'm not going to do that. And one information that I had received from Madhuban, that, in Mount Abu, I don't remember the instrument, and they say that when the person dies, and their body is either you just, burn them, or they go into the graveyard, or they go into the water, whatever different belief system, in individual religions is. So that really clicked. My body is not a graveyard. And I had stopped eating non-veg right from my childhood, but then this is what I started sharing with the children. The body is not a graveyard. When the people die, they go into the graveyard. But when the animal dies, then you're putting their dead body into your body. I'm not going to do that anymore, And so this is how it began, with these little things. Practice of seeing each one as a light. And God said, each one is just playing a role. There is a script written by God, or it is there, and each one of us are just playing a role. So people Khalil Gibran, in his book, in his philosophy, what I had understood in my childhood, that two human beings are just the media of bringing another human being into the world. But their responsibility and relationship is only to the body level, physical level. If they become mom and dad, so they become a mom and play the role of a mom and dad of individual till that individual's body is 18-year-old. After the 18-year-old is no longer you have responsibility, of acting like a mom and dad, though you would always remain with that title, with your creation, but your role changes. When you turn 18, your life starts exploring world, and then the parents, so it is everyone experience in relationship. Of course, I had the same kind of bondages, but I applied all this information. Baba said, see each one as a soul. Baba says that each one is playing their role, but ultimately each one is my child, and each one is divine. Each one is a pure being, a happy being, full of qualities, and belongs to me. And that was it. Small thing. And I practiced that. So just with this practice, any situation, anything came into journey, and I applied it and I accepted it. Challenges were there, understood. There were two fathers I have in my life. One was the physical father, another one was the spiritual father. Physical father is only responsible for the physical parents, are only responsible for if something happens to your child. They're not responsible if something happened to your mind, because the soul in the body, creates something good or bad through its mind. And only the Supreme Father is, parents one can approach, which is like, so I got to know the difference of eternal and external so well, so easily. And that became a kind of a way of life. So there was 5 years were intense effort, day and night. After that, it just became very easy. And this application, wherever difficulty came, it just, passed easily. And every scene, every incident or life situation or obstacle helped me to grow, because acknowledgement was very important.
That's beautiful. So what I understood is that soul consciousness, the practice of being soul consciousness, and that too, you were doing it for almost 5 years. That was your main focus. And that's how slowly you built your muscle, and that helped you. So that's wonderful. There are many questions, but I think we are short in time. We might have to do a second round with you, but just one last question. If you can give us some insight to that. When we start with the spiritual journey, sometimes it's just one of the person in the family, in a husband-wife relation or in a partner relation. And so one person is into this journey, and the other person may not agree with you or may not cooperate with you, and maybe decides to, either leave the marriage or physically being there but mentally not being in the marriage. Then how do you then deal with that? How do you deal with such situation? Your spiritual journey doesn't, from your side, it's not that you want to end the relation. You still want to be in family. But the other person may take this drastic step. So then, if you can give us some kind of your insights on that.
See what I did, what I practiced. it may apply to many and it may not apply to many, is it is individual, that how you have recognized yourself and recognized God. It all depends on the recognition. And once you have recognized your truth, your existence, and your purpose, then which is eternal, getting to know yourself, getting to know your qualities, your powers, your abilities, and your potentialities. This is all eternal. And as much as time we spend eternally with ourselves and keep strengthening that, then when it comes to externally and applying all the godly knowledge in the direction, then it becomes easy to deal in the relationship. For me, my practice was one thing: humility and respect. Because the person who is my companion as a husband, I would say, I have to treat with a lot of respect and humility, because he is going to be my best teacher, who's going to help me to develop that personality trait accurately and forever. Because he would react, because he was not in agreement, and it was like, and I respected his disagreement, because this is what I understood: each soul belongs to God and is playing their role as per the script given to them. So when other person is expressing he does not agree to this, but whatever his disagreement, according to his belief system, whatever he believed from his childhood, whatever he understand about, about life philosophy, and whatever his influences are. But we are living a life together here for a reason, for a purpose, and when you're on a spiritual path, what I took it is that like every relationship is there for me as my teacher. And I'm not going to break up with no one. They're going to help me to grow. They're going to help me to overcome my own weaknesses, because they will be my best mirror who would reflect my inner weaknesses. So this is how I dealt with when there used to be disagreement, and I would practice meditation. I did the most meditation when there had been disagreement. And I always kept my vision very divine, that I am a divine soul. And this, another being who is in front of me playing the role of either a child or a husband or any role, is also a divine, full of divine, and belongs to same family where I come from. My father is his father too. Mm-hmm. So how can I doubt his script? How can I react to his script and his role? So with that, it became so much firm in my understanding and practice that after the fact of reacting is again takes me back to the, ignorance, where our weaknesses, they emerges. If we understand we are light and we see other person as a light, and we each one have our own unique script, we may be playing in front of each other, but it is still unique. And acknowledging and accepting each one's script as it is, and not reacting, oh, why did you say this? Why did you do this? You shouldn't have. You should have been. This is, you are telling to someone who already played this role in front of you, and you're pointing at that one. That means, we are going, we cannot tell the one who already played the role, I cannot tell that why you played this role. You should have played this role better.
Right.
So that became really firm in me, which helped me not to be reactive and more to be eternally focused. All I can do is strengthen my inner self, keep myself awake, and respond to every act of everyone in the world from that place, with that perspective. If when I lose that, then there is always an ordinary experience and the weaknesses we experience. I was in London in 2002 and meeting Dadi Janki over there, and spent very beautiful, powerful 10 days, and so my awakening kept going to one level to another. So in 27 years of a journey is another story, sharing maybe one day that we can do that. There was a one slogan where behind Dadi's seat was that in Hindi, that अगर तुम मेरे बारे में सोचोगे, तुम मुझे देखोगे तो मैं तुम्हें देखूंगा, तुम मेरे बारे में सोचोगे तो मैं तुम्हारे बारे में सोचूंगा. Means if you will, through your mind, look at me, I will look at you. Okay, when you will think about me, I will think about you. And that was very much like, I'm sitting in front of Dadi, but my attention was on that poster with this message. And that I got that practice for me that, okay, through my mind, through my intellect, with my attention, practices while performing every action, you just have to gently look at him. Okay.
Thank you very much, Poonam. And it is so beautiful how you shared, you reignited all our old memories. Thank you very much. Om Shanti. Have a beautiful rest of the day.